Marshawn did.
Marcus Spears, you were in the building last night. How important was it for this Cowboys team to finally get together on the field after everything they've gone through the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, Graz, I thought it was vitally important. It was talked about the bye week was at a good time because it gave guys time to process. But I went through this when I was playing with the Dallas Cowboys, and we wanted nothing more but to be together and play a game. And like you heard Dak talk about, honor our teammate. And I thought they embraced that fully. Being there, I talked to Dak before the game, talked to a bunch of the Cowboys personnel, and they were so happy that they were about to play football. And they didn't shy away from Marshawn Kneeland. They didn't shy away from his name. They made it about him. And that is actually what I enjoyed more than anything about the night, is that they embraced everything that came along with what that game was meaning to them as a team, and they banded together as brothers. And fortunately, they got a win. But, guys, it wasn't about winning. Right. It was about going out and honoring a teammate that they lost. And the win is great, and everybody feels great about it. But I think this team embodied and they magnified Marshawn Kneeland's name, and I think that's what last night was all about.
And you heard their head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, tell them after the game that they had made him proud, and we will show you how they went about that once the game got started in Las Vegas. Cowboys taking on the Raiders. This was Monday Night Football. And first play of the second quarter, the Cowboys are down 6-3. Dak Prescott's going to find CeeDee Lamb for 6. Puts the Cowboys out in front 10-6. Ensuing drive for the Raiders there at midfield. Quinnen Williams, the new guy, fights through the offensive line and takes down Geno Smith. Jerry Jones loving that up in the press box. Midway through the quarter, Cowboys driving. Prescott's going to connect with CeeDee Lamb for a pickup of 23 yards, Dan Orlovsky. Cowboys in the red zone.
Guys, those receivers, just so difficult to cover. This one felt like, okay, this offense started to get rolling. Jake Ferguson, soft spot of a defense, ball at Dak's hands quickly. That offense is starting to roll.
Cowboys up 17-6. Next Raiders possession. Geno Smith tries to find Brock Bowers, but it's intercepted by Marquise Bell. Cowboys with a chance to score before the end of the half.
I think Peyton Manning loved that throw.
You think?
From what I saw, he loved the fact that he did not take the check down in the flat.
And then next Cowboys drive, Prescott's going to hit George Pickens, and he was pretty good last night.
Special. Just throws the in route, puts his foot in the ground, runs away from the defense. I don't think the effort or the ability was great on the defensive end, but Pickens was fantastic.
33-16 final for the Dallas Cowboys. A big win after, as we mentioned, a rough couple of weeks. I'm Dan Graziano in for Laura Rutledge. We have Dan Orlovsky here in studio. We have Mina Kimes, and you already heard from Marcus Spears joining us remote. Mina, what did you make of that Cowboys offense last night?
Yeah, I mean, look, we give the Cowboys a lot of grief for roster construction and some of the decisions they've made over the years with contracts, but boy, did they make a good call trading for George Pickens, because he's been unbelievable this season and he was at his best in this game. A reminder, by the way, that on any given day, I really believe George Pickens is a top 5 receiver league-wide, and obviously couple that with Lamb. Irrespective of the competition, his talents were on display. One thing that really struck me watching him, I mean, we talk a lot about his catch radius, the contested catch ability, the body control, all of that. But he is a menace with the ball in his hands. I mean, some of his movement abilities in terms of the cuts and acceleration coming out of them really do not make sense for a player of that size. And watching him hit that ceiling that he's capable of is a reminder that for all of the Cowboys' issues, and they remain, and I don't know how much we learned about the defense last night against the Raiders, because of George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, they are a tough out for anyone, purely because of that passing attack.
I didn't learn anything from the Cowboys last night. They got a good offense. Quarterback's a really good player. Their run action's really good. 2 really good receivers. Pickens' route running was fantastic. I thought the Raiders' defense was atrocious last night. Out of place, tackling poorly, bad communication, playing with poor leverage, didn't get after the quarterback. So, yeah, the pass game was good, but we know this pass game's good. This pass game has been good for every game but 2 this year. Their run action, their play action. Pickens was dominant last night, but I also don't think there was much restriction from this Raiders defense. And so the bigger test obviously is going to be this coming week against the Philadelphia Eagles. It was good to see them, after what they experienced, play at such a high level, no question. But this was, for me, so much more about how bad the Raiders defense looked rather than got some new information about who the Cowboys are.
Yeah, we'll get more information. Their next 3 games are against the Eagles, Chiefs, and Lions. So obviously tougher tests await. But Marcus, Quinnen Williams made his Cowboys debut last night. They had 5 new guys on defense that were either injured or weren't on the team yet the last time they played. What did you make of Quinnen Williams in that new look Dallas defense?
I like the depth that they have on the D-line, especially in the interior. I think Quinnen's ability is going to free up these other D tackles and pass rushers, and sometimes that's how you multiply and get better. And I'm along the same lines with Dan. Now, this was the Raiders, but I would be very concerned if they didn't dominate the Raiders' offensive line. I would probably have more worry if I didn't see them have that type of success. We saw Digizua get back into the quarterback as well. So stoutness and interior pass rush matters in this league. And I think adding Quinnen Williams was going to make this defense better anyway, but getting DeMario Overshown back, getting a little bit healthier on the back end, defensively, these guys should get better because of personnel. Mm-hmm. And like y'all both said and already reiterated, next week will be a really good test. But I've seen Quinnen Williams play well against really good teams, so I look forward to it.
He had more sacks and QB hits last night than he had in all 8 of the games combined that he played with the Jets this season. So he was coming off 2 straight bye weeks.
Interesting.
Jets had a bye week, then they traded him, and then the Cowboys had a bye week. So he was fresh.
Being happy matters.
Which was good. On to Pittsburgh.
Raiders matter, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Good Lord, that line.
Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers suffered a fracture in his left wrist in Sunday's victory over Cincinnati. He was replaced by Mason Rudolph and did not return to the game. Steelers put Rodgers through various exams on Monday to determine the severity of the injury. New on NFL Live, this is Steelers coach Mike Tomlin earlier today.
They're probably looking at some devices that do that and things of that nature. I haven't asked specifically that question, but I've given you the line of communication and conversation that we have. It's about stabilizing it. It's about making sure that he can manage the pain. That doesn't appear to be an issue. Again, having been around him, and then functionality.
Mike, do you get a sense that Aaron especially wants to play this week, given who the opponent is and his familiarity?
Aaron always wants to play. Opponent has nothing to do with it. It's his love affair with the game of football.
So Tomlin said he didn't think Rodgers would practice tomorrow, but he hopes by Friday they can get him on the field and see how that hand feels and how it's. But the look on your face indicates that you're not loving his plan.
I'd sit him. He's 42. It's a long season. They're not going to matter when it comes to a Super Bowl run.
Steelers Nation, gather around, because what we are witnessing right now in Pittsburgh is one of the most fascinating, chaotic, and yet strangely inspiring moments of the entire 2025 NFL season. A moment that is testing this team, testing this coaching staff, testing the heart of this fan base, and most importantly, testing the identity of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the kind of situation that separates pretenders from contenders, franchises from fortresses, and teams from legacies. The Steelers, sitting atop the AFC North, suddenly find themselves in the middle of a storm as Aaron Rodgers deals with a fractured wrist in his non-throwing hand, a moment that in most NFL cities would create panic, fear, doubt, and calls for immediate reinforcements. But not here, not in Pittsburgh, not under Mike Tomlin, not inside a locker room built on grit, next man up mentality, and decades of culture forged in steel. And here's where the plot twist becomes even more dramatic. ESPN's Dan Orlovsky went on national television and said something that instantly set the NFL world on fire. He said something bold, something that fans outside Pittsburgh weren't ready to hear, and something that frankly stunned the analysts on his own panel. Orlovsky said that the Steelers' offense actually looked better with Mason Rudolph than it did with Aaron Rodgers last Sunday. And he didn't whisper it, he didn't hesitate, he didn't walk it back. He said it with his chest on live TV for the entire nation to hear. Let that sink in. He said the offense had more life, more explosiveness, more confidence throwing the ball downfield, more willingness to challenge defenses vertically. According to Orlovsky, Mason Rudolph stepped in and played with a freedom and decisiveness that this offense had been missing. He emphasized how the ball came out faster, how the vertical shots returned, how the offense resembled a modern unit again, not a cautious, constricted version of what Rodgers usually runs. But here's the reality beneath that soundbite. Mason Rudolph did exactly what you want a backup quarterback to do. He kept the offense afloat, kept the game under control, and delivered efficient, clean football in a relief appearance. He went 12 of 16 for 127 yards, a touchdown, and crucially, he didn't turn the ball over. That alone is worth gold in a divisional AFC North war. That alone kept the Steelers in command. However, Orlovsky's point isn't really about Rudolph being better than Rodgers. He clarified it himself. It's about the offense finding rhythm and identity even when its star quarterback goes down. It's about the Steelers proving that they can survive a short-term injury without their legendary starter. It's about proving resilience, something that has defined this organization for decades. And let's talk about Rodgers for a moment, because this storyline is bigger than just an injury update. Rodgers is built differently. Everyone in this league knows it. This man once played through a torn calf. He played with a broken thumb for months. He returned to practice from an Achilles tear faster than any human in NFL history. So when Mike Tomlin announced that Rodgers had fractured his non-throwing wrist but did not require surgery, the entire Steelers nation, every fan, every coach, every player, exhaled in unison. Rodgers isn't out. He isn't done. He isn't shutting it down. He's bracing it, managing the pain, working through it, and preparing to return the moment he's physically capable. No panic, no drama, no melodramatic retirement conversations. Just raw, stubborn competitiveness. The very thing that makes him a future Hall of Famer. The very thing that drew the Steelers to him last offseason. But here's where this story gets even more intriguing. This Steelers roster is no longer dependent on one man. This team is deep. This team is balanced. This defense, with Jalen Ramsey emerging as one of the most impactful tone setters in the league, has become a force. Ramsey has brought swagger, accountability, and attitude to a secondary that desperately needed a leader capable of controlling the emotional temperature of the team. His transition to full-time safety has been nothing short of brilliant. His intelligence and physicality instantly elevated the back end. He is the beating heart of this new-look defense. On offense, DK Metcalf continues to command double coverage and open lanes for the rest of the receiving corps. Kenneth Gainwell is emerging as the perfect multi-purpose weapon. Jaylen Warren, when fully healthy, remains the explosive chain mover who can flip the field on any touch. Pat Freiermuth has become Rodgers' trusted security blanket. Strong hands in traffic, precision on third down, reliability in the red zone. And that's why Orlovsky's take is more than just a headline. It's a reflection of something much deeper happening in Pittsburgh this season. The creation of a complete football team. A team that can withstand injuries. A team that can win different kinds of games. A team that can change its identity mid-drive, mid-quarter, or mid-season if necessary. A team that can win ugly, win explosive, win defensive battles, win shootouts, and most importantly, win without collapsing when adversity strikes. And speaking of adversity, let's talk about the AFC North, because this division is an absolute gauntlet. Every team is physical. Every team is violent in the trenches. Every game is a war of attrition. And yet, the Steelers lead the division heading into Week 25. Even with Rodgers banged up, even with an offense that hasn't always clicked, even with critics and analysts chirping from every corner, the Steelers stand above some of the toughest competition in the league. And now comes the critical moment. Rodgers will likely miss practice early in the week. It will be a game-time decision whether he suits up against the Chicago Bears. But let's be honest, Rodgers knows exactly who the opponente is. Chicago. The team he dominated for years. The team he famously told, "I own you." There is no universe where Rodgers isn't pushing harder than ever to take the field. This game matters to him on a personal level. Whether he plays or not, the Steelers are in good hands. Mason Rudolph has proven he can handle a full game if needed. Offensive coordinator Arthur Smith has shown he can adjust the playbook to fit Rudolph's strengths. And most importantly, this team has the character and discipline to rally around whichever quarterback is under center. The Steelers win games through their DNA: toughness, discipline, physicality, complementary football, opportunistic defense, and relentless effort. Those traits transcend quarterbacks. Those traits win in December. Those traits win in January. And those traits are the reason Pittsburgh remains not only alive in the playoff race, but a legitimate contender in the AFC. So Steelers Nation, here's the real takeaway. This team is built to survive adversity. This team is built to win in multiple ways. This team is built for moments exactly like this one. And as long as Rodgers heals properly and returns soon, this little detour might actually make the Steelers stronger long term. Because knowing your backup can keep the train moving isn't a weakness, it's a weapon, a massive one. If you believe the Steelers are built for this moment, built for this grind, and built for this divisional title race, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you trust Mason Rudolph to hold things down if Rodgers misses a game? Do you think Rodgers will suit up against the Chicago Bears? And do you believe this team is still the favorite to win the AFC North? If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire for more breaking updates, emotional reactions, film breakdowns, and everything Pittsburgh football. Your support keeps this channel growing and keeps Steelers Nation louder than ever. Let's ride, let's believe, and as always, here we go, Steelers!